Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tina and it's a beautiful day to be creating with you. I'm actually having a lot of fun. Over the next several days I get to put a lot of projects together and I get to share them with all of you, and it's so nice visiting our memories. I think it's one of the things that bring us joy for those of us who scrapbook. I am sharing a pretty special time here. I treated my husband, let me grab my other pick, and my son to the NASCAR experience a few years ago. And I am, of course, just getting to scrapbook this now because that is my life. I'll be sharing my journey with you, and it will be from all different time periods in my life, even from when I am a child. And I hope you guys will find some humor, but also some useful tips in that. I am using this Fresh Paint paper pack. I'll put all the details about the products down in the comments, but this here is really what made me jump and grab onto this. Also, I will put a link for this tire. I found this tire and I did it on print and cut. And then what I've done is I've just laid it out so that the tire cut through there is in different positions, so it looks like the tire has kind of moved, at least in my mind. All right, I'm going to be doing two mirror images. This is actually going to be a cover page, a 12 by 12 that opens up a full 12 by 12 flip flap into two sets, one side for George, one side for Jacob, my husband and my son. And then those are going to have 12 by 8 flip flaps. I want to keep things very basic on this. It is a lot. I can always go back and decorate it later, but let's go ahead and dive in. So when I say I'm going to go ahead and do this twice off camera, I want you to know that it's because I'm scrapping for two. All right. I've done a lot of cuts here. This is just 4x4s, and I put those down to save a little bit of time. Another 4x4. There we go. And this is going to be my top of the 8x8. And then the bottom portion here, or excuse me, my 12x8. And then the bottom portion here, what I'm doing is I'm creating a page, the page portion that you're going to be able to see. So it's going to be part of, with the flip flap. So it's going to be part of the under page, but the flip flap is going to cover to here. All right, for these, I'm just going to go ahead and grab a little bit of glue. And we'll go ahead and get these down. I thought about putting these on with foam tape, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go with my instinct on all these little tires. I'm going to go ahead and get foam tape all over those, and I will be right back. Okay, so we're back, and what I've done is I've used the upper portion of my grid. So this is divided into equal fourths. And then the bottom is just the one whole piece. I got my foam tape put all on my kind of NASCAR tires. I don't really know what a NASCAR tire would look like in design space. So I found a print and cut that I thought would give a little show through and looked somewhat decent. And I asked for a second opinion off of multiple tires, and we landed on this. So for this last one here, as I mentioned, I have this going right here, and then it's a little bit further. I'm taking just that same piece there, and I'm putting it just a little bit further, and I'm using that upper 4-inch grid to kind of put this down. I am putting it just a little bit lower for my flip flap, and I really feel like this says NASCAR to me, so pretty good. One of the things I paid for is my husband, living the dream, right? I paid for the 5x7 photos of them posed by the car because they are very smart, and they that photographer is right there. So that photographer that's on site has the best picture and our best spot for the picture. So I got one of George and one of Jacob in the 5x7, and I decided I was only going to use a lot of black and white in this in one color, and I landed on our Capri. Now I took the stamp, and this was the stamp that was featured and I wanted to use that multiple times, but the checkered flag stamp was, I thought, my favorite, and I wanted to get a lot of use out of it, so I cut these, are 2 by 1.5, and then I just cut a 12-inch strip at 12 by 1 3/4, and I'm going to make my own custom border with this. What I'm doing is only focusing on an 8-inch long piece, because that's what's gonna fit into my flip flap. Because these are 2 inches, I know I'm gonna need 6 of them. Just go ahead and get all 6 of them done right now. And all I did was stamp them and then go around them with my black marker. I love to trace things with my black marker. I'll make sure the details are all for you in the comments. It is one of my favorite ways to draw a lot of attention to that piece. I'm going to leave 1/8 of an inch at the top and the bottom to create this border, and I will have a checkered flag border when I am all done. I find that I often move a little too close, like I push a little too much here when I do things like this. So I want to be a little careful, and I need that first piece to be straight. So let me just go back, making sure I don't really rub it down until I have it all done. Might be slightly off, but we'll go ahead and see if that's a little bit better. These were all cut manually by me, so, you know, struggle is real, right? I always say God has a sense of humor. I am a paper crafter lover for sure, and I cannot cut paper straight to save my craft life, meaning my craft projects. Okay, we'll put that final one on. There we go. And I'm just a little bit short, and I'm not sure why. Let's take a look. We'll see. Looks like I'm pretty close to 2 inches on each of them. Let's just use the Versamat. It's always so much faster. See if I have one that might be off from the 2 inches. I do not. Okay, so to make that up, I don't know what it is. I'm going to just go ahead and shave that off, and I'll leave a little bit on each side to balance it out. There we go. I try not to stress out about stuff like that. There we go. All set and all in. At the top I have 2 inches of this checkered, I'm calling it my checkered flag. This is all about that. 2 inches. Okay. That'll go at the top. It's going to go together really easily because, you know, there's not a lot of components. Now, I know that I have these checker flags down here, but I wanted my border to go all the way across, so it doesn't matter that I'm covering a lot of them up. And I didn't want too many colors, but there we go. In my bag here of this paper, I have this zip strip, and I used this on the cover, and I pulled 2 of these as an option to pull in, and now that I'm looking at it, I do think I want to go ahead and use those. 2 come in, but I'm using 3. I had multiple packs of this that I used for other projects, so I'm pretty fortunate that I do have 3 of them, but you could probably use one of the others. I'll have one for George's, one for Jacob's, and I also have one on the cover that I will be sharing with you guys for this. I'll put still pictures in for that. I think I'm liking that. Now, this to me is just too big. I have a picture of the car that George rode in as he's driving in it, of course, and I have one of Jacob. Let me grab my cutter. I want to feature them on this. So I'm going to cut that bottom portion off. I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off of the bottom. I want it more narrow to fit in this portion that I have here, or I want it not as tall there to fit in that portion. So I'm going to cut some of that down, but I want to leave this bigger than a 4x4 so that these cover photos of each of these stand out just a little bit more. So I'm at a 3.5 by about a 5.5. I have a feeling I'm going to want to take a little bit more off. I'm going to want to take a little more off. Let's go down to a 3. I'll get rid of some of those stands, but I want to keep the stands too. And I think I'm going to do a quarter off of each side and take this down to about a 3x5 because I'm going to want to mat it. Okay. Now I have a 3x5 and let's see if that's going to work. That is going to work with a nice little mat around it. I want to keep, as I said, same color for everything. So this picture ended up at a 3x5. I'm going to go ahead and mat that with a 5 1/4 by 3 1/4. Now I'm only going to be sharing this process once, and what I'll do is at the end of the video, after I go back and complete Jacob's, I will bring in both of the layouts fully done with the 12x12 flip flap, so you guys can see that. There we go. I think this is going to work perfectly for me. I am definitely, yeah, I love it. Okay, that is going to be my layout. All right, let's go ahead for this 8-inch portion. All right, we'll get some adhesive on this one as well. Okay, and I'm tipping this one a little bit so you can see a little bit of the checkered flags right down there. But I don't want to do it too much, and I'm not going to push down until I pop this photo in here. And it looks like it's going to lay out pretty good. It's a little crooked, but that's because I cut it. As I mentioned, my craft struggles earlier in the video, they are real. I'm heavy-handed, so I lean. That's what it is. Okay, good to go. I really like that, and I think that this is going to make a great page. Okay, so let's talk about the flip-flap portion of this as we move on. Okay, so for the flip-flap portion, these are our 8x12 flip-flaps. I love flip-flaps. One, I love interactive scrapbooking, so they're a nice fit for me. But, you know, in the digital age that we're in, we take so many photographs that, you know, it becomes hard. So what's going to happen is this is going to go into the top of this flip flap. All right, the flip flap is going to be attached to my memory protector. You'll see all that at the end. I have videos already supporting making the 12x12 flip flap, and I can pop that in there as well. But what I'll do is then this will lift up to extend my photos. So you can see here I have this grid pattern that's at the top. Right, I've added an extension of this grid. So this is, when this opens up, this is going to be, if you've never used a flip flap before, it's going to be here. So it's going to give me 8 more inches. And I wanted to keep these pictures super simple, checkered flagged. I've got that checkered flag kind of thing going throughout this layout. So this is going to be that portion that lifts up. So when you put this together, the biggest thing for this is just to make sure that you repeat your pattern. You don't want to stop repeating that pattern. I realize I might be off camera. Hold on for a second. There we go. You don't want to stop repeating that pattern. So whatever you do on these, you need to repeat the pattern. So this was at the bottom, 2 at the top, bottom, 2 at the top. All right. Now comes the tough part. I'm going to grab, and this is going to hold 12 photos. And I already looked at my photos and I was okay to cut those down. That's why I wanted the best one of the car in that bigger version front. I am going to pick my 12 favorite photos representing George, and I'm going to put those down here. So I have a George pile. I have an equal Jacob pile, and then I have a pile of pictures of them together so that I can add some to each. I'm going to go ahead and make the tough decision of which photos are going to make this layout, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I'm all set with the 12 photos that I've chosen for both George's and Jacob's portion of these layouts. I went ahead and cut them all 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 to mat them on that checkered flag so that you would be able to see the black and white continuation that it's going to have that kind of goes with this whole layout. All right. I'm excited that we're this far. It's time to put this together. Now, I do have a critical component missing overall for my layout, and that's going to be my journaling. But I want to go ahead and bring in my cover page, and I'll put some still pictures in on this video of that. Okay, so here's my cover page, and this is how this is all going to be brought together. Now, I have one of the little checkered flag. I'm going to turn this way, make sure I get it right. I have one of the checkered flags that I used on both of the pages that I'm going to have on this opening page. I'm going to incorporate a little bit more of that capri. It's a checkered flag kind of day. And I have one more embellishment that I'm going to stamp and add to the inside off of my stamp set. And it says, "My heart is on that track." And I thought that was so perfect. So I'll be duplicating this on one of the openings, and you'll see that on all the still photos. But we're going to go ahead and focus on the 8 by 12 flip flap. All right, so for the 8 by 12 flip flap, what you'll do is I like to put my flip flaps directly on top of my memory protectors. There's all different kinds of ways to do them, and I change that depending on the time. But here's our 8 by 12 flip flap, and I think this is a great introduction to this size because this is new. This size we've only had for, a shorter period of time compared to the other ones. I mean, we've had it for a little while, but, it's not one that I've used a lot and I've shared. So down here on the tires, I will be able to do some added journaling, but the flip flap is only going to cover that top portion of the 8 inches of my layout. So these are going to show when the flip flap is closed as well as when the flip flap is open. So I'll be able to put little journaling details kind of around those tires, like whose car George drove and stuff like that, as well as lots of journaling on that front page. And I'll be typing that journaling. This will be handwritten. All right, I have George's cover portion set up, and then you always want to line up. That is the way it's going to flip open. So my pictures kind of seem upside down. There you go. That's the reason why. Your flip flap is going to go so that this is where the longer portion is. This is the flip flap that you peel. And we're going to want that to be able to go behind and attach, fold behind and attach to our memory protector. So I'm going to go ahead and slide my 2 pages in. I do not like using the front and back of my pages. All my flip flap pages are usually independent unless I've taught that you can use 2 sides of a paper, or I was using the Close to My Heart pattern paper that is 2-sided, which is so beautiful, and I needed both sides. That's really the only time that I do that. I'm uncoordinated, guys. This is way easier to do this than what I'm showing. All right, and I'm sliding both through at the same time, so they could be just a little off from each other going in there. I'm used to leaning it against myself, so that might have something to do with it, right? We all find a way to do there. Once I can get it to, there we go. Oh, this is gonna look so great. Okay, I actually need to grab a memory protector. Thank you for your graciousness in that slight pause. All right. Realized I didn't have one next to me. I've been working on scrapbooking today. I just used it up super fast. Okay, here's the important thing. Before you put the flip flap on, and you know how this is going to lay out, I've put this in backwards. It is really hard to peel your flip flaps off and use those. This picture, when all of this opens, it coordinates around a 12 by 12 flip flap going on of my cover page. And then what's going to happen is that cover page is going to open and they're going to be 2. So I could leave it on this side and that would be fine. I guess I will. But I just wanted to, my original was that George would be on this side. So, you just want to kind of pay really close attention to that. So what's going to happen is when this flips out, George will now be, which is kind of nice because George was before Jacob in life. So George will now be on the left side and Jacob will be on the right. All right, make sure you are all the way in. I like to take a bone folder at times if I'm puffy and just kind of do this. I definitely do it when I'm making the 12 by 12s, and there is a video all set up for that. Okay. We're going to fold that down, and I am looking at the stitched lines. I love the stitched lines that Close to My Heart has on the outside of their memory protectors. Those help me line these up every time. I'm pulling this all the way down, and I want to make sure that this is all the way down as I'm looking at it. There we go. That's going to help me visually line this up. So right back to those dotted lines, lining up the 8, dotted line to dotted line, using the top. I'm checking it in multiple areas here to make sure it's nice and lined up. It's touched down, but I have not rubbed it yet, so that's okay. It looks like it's really nicely lined up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop it down and give it a rub. And then what I do is when I know that it is, look at that. Oh, I love it. Okay. When I know that it is good to go, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. Now, some people, which I totally understand, they do not like to see this on top of their photos. It does not bother me. I've been using flip flaps for so long. I don't even really notice it anymore, but you could have put this behind your page as well. Behind the 12 by 12, you could, put it behind that and install it onto the inside of your flip flap as well. But how gorgeous is that? It's so big that I can't even get it into the camera. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put Jacob's together. Here we go. I'm going to put his together and I'm going to do that 12 by 12 cover, and then I'm going to come back and show you how this all interactively flips out and looks fabulous. See you back. Hey everybody. Okay, so after thinking about it for a moment, I decided that I would go ahead and show you how I plan to make the interactive flip flap, because it is being put on a little differently than the prior one. So here is our memory protector. And this is the part that's going to go in the book. That part that I've already shown, it's going to be attached to my posts in the book. But I want this to open up and be interactive like this. And then both of these pages open up yet again. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So what I did was I grabbed another 12 by 12 memory protector, put all my journaling and everything here later. I've sliced off using that dotted line. So I just sliced off with the dotted line, and then I folded it back using the dotted line as how I fold them back. It just seems that they fit in pretty well when I use that dotted line. And then I just took my bone folder. I did a lot of rubbing. All right. And then I have score tape all the way down it. Okay, I'm going to be working sideways, which I would anyway, because I tend to get things a little more straight from side to side instead of up and down. All right, we're going to go ahead and peel that off. You're probably going to get a shot of the back of my head. I'm going to pull it to me to hopefully prevent that. I'm pulling it kind of a little tight there. If you're going to make some of these, a nice suggestion is to lay a book or something on them to kind of weight them down. I like to once again use the stitch lines all the way around. So I'm kind of lining this up using the stitch line that's in front of me that's off camera. And then I'll put it down. I know that I have some folding to do here because, like I said, it wasn't weighted down. There we go. Pulling, give it a little push. Okay, and now I'll be able to open this up. And using my bone folder, I'm just going to rub that score tape. And that once again, it doesn't bother me. You can see the score tape a little bit more when you do these. So I could have put it behind it, but I would have seen it on the other side. So it doesn't matter. And I will later on, I will go in and I will rub that really, really well. You want to rub it really well. So now I'm going to put this in here and I'm going to turn it this way. And I am going to grab my second flip flap. And we'll give that a little bit of a rub. Okay, we're going to repeat the process that we did last time. Oops, helps if I stick my guide in there. Hold on for just a moment. Let's add that second page of Jacob. Here we go. I chose to use our dark side of the mink on their pages, and then the light side on the cover page that has, his name's Miles. The mascot is named Miles. Okay, so there we go. Let's pull that back in. Here we go. Pulling it a little tight in the back there, lining it up using my stitching. It's looking pretty good. There we go. We'll give that a rub. And we are done. We have now created this super interactive page, and you can see why just the elements of this particular layout in itself does not need a ton of extra details and decorative things. Now, as I said, I'm going to add a few more stamped images to this. I'm going to do some journaling around here. I'm obviously going to put lots of details, the date and everything on this page here. But after I'm done that, I'm going to call this done. This gave me a wonderful way to do these two, you know, the experience of them it was amazing to be there for. I absolutely loved it. And look at how many photos I was able to get in this really cool interactive flip out. I hope you guys have liked this video and the techniques that I've shared. I sure would appreciate if you hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. I have a wonderful journey that I would love to share with you. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.